want me to start it?
Welcome
To Raw with the Love Ladies.
the uncut, unscripted, uncensored.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Kyle.
And this is real life, real marriage, and just real conversations.
So ultimately, the goal behind this is really what we've wanted to do for a long time. We've actually recorded and re-recorded and recorded.
Try it again.
Because if you want to do something good, you do it 100 times and it still won't be good. Especially when you're trying to branch off into a new subject line. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is introduce ourselves today. I'm Kyle, Kelly, and we're trying to start our podcast. We're trying to let you know who we are, and then we'll dive into
different topics of life, marriage, family, kids, trials,
trauma healing, just things that have worked for us. And there's no degrees here. There's no doctorates. There's nothing like that. This is just us talking about real life experience.
And what we found, what works for us, what hasn't worked for us, and where our success and our trial and error has brought us the ultimate happiness and for us. So we're hoping to share our experiences to enlighten others, share our story instead of gatekeeping.
A quick summary of where we come from. My mom and dad weren't married. My mom married my stepdad when I was 5. And I was raised by my mom and my stepdad here in Utah. My dad lives in Florida. So there's a lot of just growing up with having parents in different places and just a lot of, I don't want to say we came from a broken home. Like I didn't come from a broken home per se, but my parents were considered a broken home. And so I can relate to people who have parents on the other side of the world, because my dad lived 2,000 miles away. And but then I can also relate to people who have a parent in the home who maybe they weren't as close with as they wanted to be.
And a little bit more my family situation. Parents divorced by I was 8 from abusive father, deadbeat, and then going into being raised by a single mother. And so just that aspect of it of living with a single mom, just all the stereotypes of that and just the healing and everything and just not having parental figures. And so we came from 2 widely different backgrounds of growing up and how it came together, how we met, and how we're blending those 2 different family styles and trying to make it work for us and learning how we can work together.
Yeah, so we've been together for 9 years. They say about every 7 years you go through a cycle. So we've made it through
our first
cycle,
into the second,
and we're working into the next one. And we feel really, really confident about where we are at in that cycle and where we're at in life and the things that we've learned that we hope most people have heard these things before, but really just hearing another person's experience or quote unquote testimony about where things are at.
I think it just gives more of a different perspective because it's a lot of the same life situations that so many people go through, but I feel like you hear same answers all the time, and I feel like we kind of have different perspectives than society. And so...
Well, we can start with something very simple, and it's just something that's been really hitting home for me lately is the difference between raising children and raising adults.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
So one thing for me, and my parenting technique is not the perfect way. However, I find that it is perfect for the environment that we are trying to establish in our home. And that environment is simply, you can achieve anything that you want if you're willing to work for it. You must be respectful. And that means to people, things, places, all of the above, just respectful. and you need to be honest. And really that's like our main 3 rules. Because if you're respectful, you listen the first time. If you're respectful, you clean up your own messes. If you're respectful, you aren't, you know.
Well, it works with like everything. Like I used to struggle with his parenting style and would kind of butt heads a lot because I was just like, oh, we have to just love them so much and be so soft. But as I realized, just teaching those simple things for our kids, the tantrums stop almost immediately. Like taking our kids, I took them to the store today, and one of our kids wanted to climb on top of like the security things where you go in and out the doors where they'll beep and everything. And I just looked at her, I'm like, is that being respectful to the store? And she just goes, no, and gets off immediately just because she understands the rules. It wasn't a fight or anything, no like tears, all that. It was just a simple question. And then it was immediate, I know how I should be acting and be respectful. And so like it just solves a lot of our problems instead of the power struggle between our kids and us.
Yeah, because like mind you, our kids are young. You know, they're 3 and 6. This summer they'll be 4 and 7. And I was the oldest of 5 siblings growing up. And my youngest brother was born when I was 12. And so there was a 10-year, the closest sibling to me in age is 4 years. So I've always been the big brother. I've always been the one who they would talk to and things like that growing up, not so much as adults, just to clarify, you know, because I'm not the closest with my siblings as much anymore. However, we're working towards getting better relationships. The ultimate thing that I think that I found for me was my siblings knew what they were getting with me because I was consistent. And so for me, my thought process is if I'm consistent, I love just as hard as I discipline, that my kids will understand that I'm disciplining from a place of love. I'm not disciplining from a place of quote unquote anger. And actually, I found that we give our kids the choice for consequences because I don't want to look back. Like I've looked back at my life and been like, hey parent, you did this when you were upset with me. And I want to be able to say, you chose the consequences for everything that you got when you got in trouble, did you not? And they would say, yes. And then, therefore, I'm not creating trauma in the way that we experience trauma. I'm not creating trauma in that way. I'm protecting them from that.
I just see it as like letting them choose. Like they learn that there are consequences in life. Everything has a consequence, whether it's positive or negative. Because even if things happen, like we let them choose positive consequences for things that they get too.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I say they get to choose their consequences, I shouldn't say, I say, hey, here's some ideas. Like I give them 3 or 4 ideas. And if they give me an idea that's not probably up to the consequence that they deserve, then
doesn't match
then it doesn't match. If it doesn't match the crime committed, then we try to give them an option saying, hey, you have option A, B, or C.
But if they come up with their own that's equal to it, it's like good, because then I think it stimulates like critical thinking and just all these other ways to just use their brain, and it's preparing them even further in life for all the choices that they're going to have in front of them constantly.
And like I said, it's one of those things where, you know, you think about experiences and how they can turn into a daily life thing. Our oldest is very, very smart. She does critical think. She does try really, really hard to not disappoint anyone, not in like a people pleasing way, but in like a empathetic, like empathy way.
She's very empathetic, but she also takes pride in how much she loves others. I feel like, and so she doesn't like to disappoint because she feels like it's more of like, I want to say letting you down, but just because of that empathy she feels, she is just loves so hard and is so proud of who she loves that she doesn't want to disappoint.
Yeah, she wants you to know that you're being thought of and like that she takes initiative. I mean, we've had numerous letters where from the schools and things like that where Lexi found a new girl and welcomed her to come play. Or we found that teachers have come up and been like, your daughter is so well behaved. The whole class will be running around and being obnoxious, but she'll be right in her seat.
Doing what she's supposed to be doing, listening, being the example for the rest of the students. Like, that's just who she is to her core.
Yeah, and she's a natural leader. Everyone seems to really not necessarily follow what she's saying, but like they see her example, they see the recognition, the merits that she gets from school, and I'd like to think that it inspires other kids, especially her peers.
But we kind of feel like she has those attributes about her is because of how we parent, making her critical think, giving her the choices. Like, our kids have so much freedom, but so much structure within the freedom.
So to put it simply, so other people can understand what we mean by structure, it's, hey, you come home from school, you've got a 30 minutes to get a snack, to decompress from school, and then you're doing your homework before you can go play. Once your homework's done, you have gotten all your responsibilities done, so then you are free to play and do whatever you want because your responsibilities are taken care of. Now, if you don't take care of your responsibilities in a timely manner, then we start rolling out, hey, here's your reminder. You only get reminded one time. Then, hey, do this, or here's the consequence. Make the choice. It's your choice, but here's your options. And we do that with our 3-year-old. We do that with, with Lexi, our older daughter. It's just really, really a simple way of making them critical think and make decisions for themselves. And I found that giving kids the freedom to choose makes them really think about what they want and who they are and what they want to become.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, have you ever, like, you think about growing up and stuff like that, because your mom had to work, there's a lot of times you didn't have any structure.
Oh, I didn't have any structure growing up. It was just more of, there's food in the fridge, take care of yourself. If you need a ride to something, call a neighbor. Like, didn't have people to really rely on unless I booked it weeks or something in advance to fit it into my mom's schedule. I had to make my own structure. There wasn't anything within the home. And then I kind of relied on society to teach me those type of things, and then not figuring out my own way and I feel like how we build it with the structure is so that way they can build their own world within their mind and be able to listen to their own voice. Because I always listen to outside voices constantly and always listening to other people's opinions instead of thinking for myself. And we want our kids to be able to think for themselves. So by giving them all these choices now, they'll be able to, when they're older, just stop and think, does this feel good to me? Is this what I truly want at my core? And they're going to be able to know themselves to make those decisions and to do what is best for them, because we're not always going to be around. They're going to be adults. They're going to move out one day. They're going to have hard situations. Of course, we're going to be a phone call away or whatever they need for support. But ultimately, like, we can't make those choices for them, and they will have to do that for themselves. And so we want to give them all the tools in their toolbox, so that way when they're ready to start the next chapter of their life, they're prepared.
I mean, it comes down to, like, you think about making a decision. So, if you will, we're sitting here making a decision. It's an individual decision. Say it's something as dumb as what I'm going to wear to school tomorrow. and I'm thinking about what I have in my closet. I'm thinking about what I like to wear, thinking about what has been washed, what hasn't been washed, and all of those things. Whose voice do I hear in my head? And right now in my life, I hear my own voice. I hear my own voice saying, hey, well, you haven't done laundry, so you probably can't wear these clothes because you haven't washed them. You know, it's going to be this weather tomorrow, so you probably want to subtract out this outfit or whatnot. Our girls get to make those decisions and think about those things on their own. They get to make those decisions. There's a lot of times they come down not dressed for the weather that is going to be happening. And you know what we do? We answer the door. So anyways, the kids will come down and they will pick out their clothes, and you'll look at them and you'll be like, it's really windy outside. It's raining. It's crazy hot. Like,
Wearing
are you sure you want to wear a
100 degrees.
sweatsuit when it's 100 degrees? And we say, hey, we don't care if you wear this or not, but you're going to wear that all day. Like,
We're going out. We're not going home. If you're
going to be gone.
Sorry. If you're hot, you made this choice. And we give them that option right then and there. Like, we make you aware of what can happen, but it's your choice if you want to keep it or wear, or go change. And sometimes they change, and sometimes they're miserable.
Well, how many parents? And this isn't trying to cut into parents who do this or anything like that. But how many parents do we know who make their kids change? Who, you're not going out like that.
Well, I just even think our kids a lot of the time, I used to get so embarrassed by it. Would put on some weird outfits that I'm like, I don't want to take you out in public like that, but I also want you to make your own choices. So I'll just look at them. I'm like, do you feel good in that? And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to swallow my pride and my ego because you're happy. And it's just like, at the end of the day, if people are really talking about what the freak our kids were wearing and the weirdest outfits, I was like, let them talk. They got bigger problems, because I'm like, my kid was happy. I went to the store and got the things I needed to get. And that's it.
At the end of the day, realistically, we're teaching our kids this too, is that the opinions of other people don't matter. It's really what you as an individual are comfortable with. And when we talk about raising adults have to critical think. Now, on that same note, that doesn't mean we don't do fun stuff with our kids. We also believe in doing dangerous things carefully. So whether that's riding electric scooters, that's riding on the tube, behind the boat, it's riding four-wheelers, it's rollerblading, biking, any of those different things. We try to do something active with the kids at least 3 times a week. And we're really good about doing that. And in that activeness, we always are making sure that they're branching out of their comfort zone slightly so that they can understand more of what the world's going to throw at them. Help them understand what they like, what they don't like. We don't push our kids into the things that we like. We bring them along. But there's times where, we would take the kids golfing, and the kids would want to hit, and they would be obnoxious and all of that stuff. And it would be very, very stressful for me as I'm trying to hit a golf shot, and my 3-year-old's making farting noises and thinks it's funny. And the other one's laughing hysterically while I'm telling them to
focus.
Be quiet so I can hit a golf shot in peace. And it's not working because I am not very good at golf still. But it's one of those things where you have to give them a childhood. You have to give them experience. However, giving them the skills and an environment to where they're forced to think for themselves in a safe place it to me is the most empowering thing that you can do as a parent. Your kids are gonna get ideas from other friends, and if I can help my kids understand at a young age that the opinions and things that other people are going to do shouldn't affect their decision making, essentially we're eliminating peer pressure. And to me, raising adults is what protects the young kids from actually getting harmed or hurt, because they'll have a voice for themselves. They'll be able to speak up if someone tries to touch them inappropriately. They will critical think when someone says, "Hey, your mom told me to come pick you up," and they would be like, "My mom doesn't know you."
Start questioning different
They would
things.
question
They're like,
things.
no.
You know, we don't withhold treats and stuff from our kids. However, we don't have any in our house, not because we don't let them. They can have treats at anything they go to.
Yeah. It's more of,
We just don't provide it.
in the home, I can control what's going on, but in the outside world, I don't have control what's going on. And so they're going to get exposed to different things. And so they can experience there, but we get to make our home. And this is how we decide how we eat, treat each other, structure our routines, everything like that. And then they can experience the world out there, and then they can decide for themselves. If as they get older, it's like, I actually like this idea and all of that, but we give them the freedom to choose for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so
in closing, before we jump into some other stuff, is the biggest thing that you can do to help your kids is give them an environment that they can be safe in, safe to express all of their feelings, safe to be heard, which requires us as parents to listen and actually pay attention to what they're saying. And in doing that, it teaches them respect. It teaches them security, self-worth, and the ability to think for themselves. And to me, that is what every child needs to become a good adult. And so if you like what you've heard here today,
if any of it's resonated with you, share it with someone who you think would benefit from this.
Leave a comment and throw in some ideas, because we'd love to expand the conversation more. Mind you, this is raw. This is something that we just came up with on the fly to have a discussion with. And if we're not reading the comments and taking in what people are saying, are we growing? Because if we're not willing to read the negative and the positive comments, then we're hindering ourselves. And so we're really, really big on growth. And so feel free to, leave us some criticism. Tell us how we can improve. And come back again and watch us again and see how we did.
Yeah. See us grow.
Thanks again.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.